up to the stage here. Appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of Second Guessing with Stressan. We are definitely big blessing this week, coming off of a victory against our big rival, the Dallas Cowboys. So I've been enjoying it this week, all the memes and content and whatnot. So, some people may think it may have not been satisfactory enough, but I'm taking it. I'm happy about it. I'm very glad about the win. So we can definitely dive into it and do a little Q&A and see what you guys are thinking, what's on your mind, and then we can also obviously go into the next game, which is the Titans. So we got a lowly Titans opponent that's 2-8, that's probably tanking right now, probably trying not to win. So that'll be a good chance to continue stacking wins. But shout out Texas Made 6424 on IG. And shout out Rolo Hendricks on IG. Appreciate you, man. He's very active on Instagram. If you're a fan of Texans content, it's Rolo_Hendricks. Y'all should give him a follow. He says we blessing. Big facts, we blessing. Thompson Marcus says Houston, Texas. That's right, baby. So I was actually at the game. I drove up with my wife and father-in-law and my wife's good friend, all of which are big Cowboys fans. And so it was nice for me, to get the victory like that, although my wife was a little sad. But the game went about how I expected. I'm not sure what you guys were expecting, but it went about how I expected. Texas Made says that Nico touchdown getting negated by Tunsil hurt. For real, dude. I mean, I had just got into my seats right before that play and just sat down. And then that play had happened, and I was just so happy. And then, of course, you hear the penalty, and it looks like the penalty was kind of suspect. It's tough with these ineligible receiver downfield, or I believe that's what they call it. It used to be like you could be 3 yards downfield, and then they still had like a buffer zone, and now it's 1 yard. But then again, I think it's one of those things where it just depends on the refs that you get. They all kind of call it differently, but shout out Christian. He's a Titans fan. He's a good guy. I appreciate your support, brother. Yep. So it's a rivalry week between him and I. So it sounds like he wants his team to lose for a draft pick, which is what I would want to if I was the Titans. The Cable Man on IG says, "Is it true Snead is out? If so, Nico finna go off." I did not know that. I can look up the injury report though. I know he wasn't having as good as a year early in the year as people thought. But if he is out, then yeah, that's a big piece. I think even with him in, Nico can still have a big game, but that would be huge. And then Rich M 9810 on IG says Texans will win every game until the Chiefs game for sure. And I think we have a chance in that Chiefs game. I don't know if y'all see me talk about it, but my preseason prediction was for the Texans to go 13-4, and I didn't have us losing to Minnesota, but the remaining 7 games, I had us only losing to the Chiefs. I had us beating the Ravens. So I could see that. And I know I'm an optimistic guy, and I posted a tweet the other day after watching Sunday football, after watching the Chiefs and seeing Mahomes be vulnerable again, have an interception, the Bills beating them, a team that we beat, and then seeing the Steelers beat the Ravens. I think the Ravens aren't as good as people think. They have a terrible defense. Specifically, their pass defense is the worst in the league. They're a team that's been built off of dominant defense, and they don't have it this year. So their identity is completely different. So I think that the outlook is good. I think we get I think we have 1 loss max, and it's nice that we have this Tennessee, Jacksonville bye, and then Miami to get ready for those last 2 games against real contenders. I think it gives us time to kind of continue to figure things out on offense, specifically the offensive line, but it allows us to build confidence too. And their games, I will say, forewarn everybody, we all want to win every game, like the Lions 50-10 or whatever, but I think D'Amico has no problem winning these games in a non-flashy way, but he'll much rather do it in a simpler way to keep guys healthy and whatnot, and also get reps. So I did notice that during the game, he was rotating a lot of linebackers. Henry To'oTo'o, his snap count got taken into by Devin White. I suspect partly because the game plan was for the Cowboys to pass. But, guys like Neville Hewitt and Jake Hansen were also getting in there. I think he was just using it as an opportunity to get guys reps that takes the load off some other guys to keep them healthy and fresh. I think he's aware of this stretch we have coming up. So the way we have it set up with our bye right before that 3-game stretch, the 3 games in 11 days, you couldn't ask for a better setup, honestly. Over here on IG, we got Rolo says, both my parents are Cowgirl fans, man. She lives 10 minutes from the stadium. I couldn't go because of work. Mom's not talking to me right now. I mean, what they expect, it was kind of funny too. Like Cowboys fans were like kind of chirping us, and they said, "Oh, you better not lose that game. If you lose that game, if you lose that game," and then we pretty much handled business from the jump. And then you try to respond to them after, and they say, "Oh, well, yeah, we suck." Like basically, they don't even allow you to like talk mess to them, and they just act like the game doesn't even count. Like, no, y'all are still a team trying to win. And honestly, that was a sneaky tough game because they were 3-6. So like that was probably their last gasp. They were at home. Like that was like a gotta have it game for them. Like now, like they're done. Like before that game, they had a little glimmer of hope. So I mean, that wasn't easy to get that lead like that. So, but yeah, Rich M says, "Do you agree with me?" Yes, I do. That we could potentially beat Chiefs. Yep, I agree. Carlos on IG says, "Before y'all guys say anything, consider firing Slowick." I mean, he's been under fire all year. I've been protecting him a majority of the year. I've kind of, the past 3-4 weeks been, somewhat critical of him, but firing him is not the answer, especially this late in the year. Even if he was the problem, it's not going to change anything. It'd be more harm than good, in my opinion. But I think he's fine, too. I think with the O-line, the new O-line, we gave up 1 sack with our new O-line, Jarrett Patterson at center, Scruggs at guard again. Against a pretty good pass rush defense. They were top 10, I think, or so in pressure rate around there. And Micah Parsons, obviously. And Micah Parsons is the kind of DN like J.J. Watt was, where he'll move around for mismatches. And he lined up on Titus Howard a majority of the game, and Titus Howard locked him down. So Titus Howard deserves some love for sure. Oh, wow. Christian says Snead and Cheeto will both be out. That's huge. So, yeah, this is and Christian, tell me, how many games have they been out? And do you think that will – obviously, you guys, I believe, like our top 5 defense, will dive into it. So how much of that top 5 defense is because these 2 guys are on the field? So, and do you think that if y'all are a top 5 defense without these guys, what will y'all be without them? Like, will y'all be that much worse? I mean, obviously, it sounds like a major advantage for the Texans. Shout out BG. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. He says that Devin White definitely got a lot of playing time. Yeah, so I suspect that was – D'Amico said in his presser that it was to get guys reps, but I suspect it was because the Cowboys abandoned their run game and it was just all passing. And it was our game plan was to make them do short intermediate passing is what I felt like it was. And then Brandon says Quandre Diggs is gone and Ernest Jones is gone. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And then they signed Jamal Adams, who's not there. I mean, yeah, Titans are a freaking dumpster fire right now, bro. It feels good to not be us. Rolo says, don't be surprised we went out. Facts. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. Like I said, at the least, at least win all the games we're supposed to and at least take 1 out of 2 from the Chiefs and Ravens. And I think we'll be feeling good heading into playoffs. And I will say, like, the one thing heading into playoffs, like, I'm super confident in this team because we have an elite defense. And I said it, I've been saying it early this year. We have a Super Bowl caliber defense. Like, this defense is insane and it's still not fully healthy. Like, we haven't had all the pieces at once. Will may come back this week. Harris supposed to come back for the Miami game, but Kamari was out. So I mean, it's going to be scary come defense, and I'm sure D'Amico's saving some stuff in his bag of tricks for the playoff games. But over here on IG, Carlos says, "Oh no, brother, we barely scored a TD in the second half against the worst defense in the NFL." LOL. Yeah. So talking about the Cowboys game. I think that was part of the game plan, and that's what I had said before the game. The game plan for the game, in my opinion, was very similar to the Patriots game. We had a massive advantage with our defense versus their offense, top 3 defense versus bottom 3 offense, in both rushing and passing with Cooper in. So it didn't make sense for us to be super aggressive and try and throw the ball down the field on offense And, they did exactly that. I was frustrated during the game, but then I realized it like halfway through. I noticed we weren't blitzing at all. We only blitzed 5 times out of 55 plays on defense. But now that the game is done, I see what the game plan was. The game plan was we're going to make Cooper Rush beat us. We're going to keep it all in front of us. It's a bend but don't break. Make him consistently take the underneath stuff, and eventually he'll make mistakes. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, half the time he would get flustered and miss throws. He had turnovers. And then the big thing was we continued to rush only 4 in the second half, but the 4-man rush got home. Daniil Hunter, Danico Autry, Mario Edwards, Tim Settle, all those guys were eating up front. And if you can get pressure with a 4-man front, that's crazy, bro. But yeah, so I mean, there are some concerns, but like I think part of the offensive struggle, in my personal opinion, was partly game plan. We weren't super aggressive. It was just run the ball, throw some short to intermediate routes here and there. We threw a lot of screens, a lot of wide receiver screens that actually worked. They work when they're not on 3rd and long. Like the second half, I think it was our first or second drive, we ran 2 or 3 wide receiver screens that got like 10 yards a pop. So that was encouraging to see. And then one thing I did see, I noticed on offense, Nico was back, but he wasn't fully back. He only played, 50% of the snaps or something like that. But he was in the slot quite a bit. He had his highest slot usage, albeit on a limited snap count, and he had a lot of success out of the slot. So I don't know if Nico in the slot was, maybe changing his route tree so he's not running too many deep routes with his hamstring, or what I suspect and hope is maybe this is a wrinkle that Bobby has been saving for the second half of the year, is to start to feature Nico in the slot more to give us new looks and to give the defense new looks. And if that's the case, then look out, man. But Brandon says getting enough offense to knock Titans out of the top 3 defense would be amazing. Facts. That's a good point. That would be sick. BG says, hell yeah. Christian, the Titans fan, says they've both been out about a month or so. Run defense has been great. Pass defense has been pretty solid, but the amount of inexperience in the secondary will be a problem. Well, that's good to know. So, I mean, we'll get into it, but at the surface, the biggest thing every week is going to be pass protection. So we'll dive into that here shortly. Rich M on IG says, I believe in Bobby. I do too. Texas made, if we play well in first half and keep that momentum, there is potential to beat the Chiefs. I agree. And then Mahomes isn't having his best year. And then the way to beat the Chiefs, we saw it last year when the Raiders won at Arrowhead with Adrian O'Connell as their quarterback. They won how we won that second half against the Cowboys with the 4-man rush. You get pressure on a quarterback with only rushing 4. That's how you win. That's what the Raiders did. That's what we did last weekend. And D'Amico has said that, and he's like specifically talked about how you beat the Chiefs. That's how you do it. That's why we went out and got Daniil Hunter. That's how we went out and got Danico Autry. So we have built our defense to beat that team. So I think we can definitely beat the Chiefs. Max Jones says, you think we let Will Anderson Jr. play or rest him since Titans suck? I don't know. So they said that he was a limited participant today, which was a walkthrough, so take it for what it's worth. And then I did see Tim Settle in his locker room interview said that Will's back, but I don't know if that means anything. If I had to speculate, given the way D'Amico is and what we've seen, I would assume we would let him rest another week. Now, at that point, it's like, if you let him rest again, it's just tough. Like, you don't want to let him rest too much, but I could see them letting him rest for sure. We got another game and then the bye. I don't know. I hope he plays, but at the same time, I don't want him to rush back and have a lingering injury, so that'll be tough. Back over on IG, Rich says our secondary defense is killing. Facts, man. They're elite, Super Bowl caliber defense. Rolo says KC will be in for a big surprise, man, especially when we're healthy. I agree, man. I think their team or their fans know. And I honestly think that I talked to other friends that are like fans of other opposing fan bases, the Chiefs for one, and I've asked him, how they react, because they were undefeated up until this Buffalo game, but they had 3-4 games they could have, should have, would have lost. And I said, well, how's the fan base reacting to that? Because I feel like a lot of us fans in the Texans community, we had these close games that we should have, would have, could have won, and we lost. and or games that we win that we could have lost. I'm sorry, we have a lot of close games that we win, and I feel like a lot of our fan base is like, oh, we could beat 2 and whatever, we're lucky and win these games. And he said like their perspective is like, yeah, like that's just a win's a win, and it's it's just what they do. Like I guess they have a different mindset. Obviously, the pedigree is there, the history, but it was just cool to see that. And his perspective, other fans that I talked to of the Texans, like they seem to be higher on the Texans than most Texans fans. So it's just funny. I mean, it goes back to the saying that I always say is it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. Reality is what lies in between. And I think that rings true pretty much all the time. Rolo says, Diggs, given I want to say stay with CJ vibes. Yeah, I guess Rich says, I hope Diggs resigns next year. Yeah, I do too. I guess we'll see how Mechie continues to improve, if that's going to be his replacement or not full time. And then Rich says, there's no shame going 1-1 with KC in Baltimore. I agree. I 100% agree. And then he says, Mahomes is playing better than most years. I think he's having one of his worst years, but they're winning, so it's kind of a odd deal. But Caleb Man on IG asked if I have a YouTube channel. Yes, I do. It's at Texans Commenter on YouTube. Please, if you don't, please subscribe on the various platforms. Even if you aren't active, it'll help my numbers. But I'm Texans Commenter on X. I'm Texans Commenter on TikTok. I'm Texans Commenter on YouTube. And then I'm Houston Stressans on Instagram and Facebook. And then obviously I have my website, HoustonStressans.com. We can look at that a little bit here in a minute. Rich says, I asked if the Texans would be willing to trade Danielle Hunter for Micah Parsons if the opportunity presents itself in the offseason. I mean, you got to look at it, but Danielle's been playing crazy this year. Alberto, got to believe with the rest of the schedule, this is a perfect way to ramp up for a playoff run and get him up some momentum. Facts, dude. I mean, we can win some of these close games ugly and we'll be upset in the moment. But then when you look back later in the year, like you don't care how you get to that record, to that playoff seeding, as long as you're ready for that run. And I think that's what D'Amico has done this whole time. I know it's frustrating for us fans, like in the moment, but like he's definitely a big picture guy. He knows that the playoff, the dance is what matters. And so, it may cost us a game here or there, but it may be frustrating as fans to not have our best every week, like Nico versus the Lions. But as long as it means that we're going to have a better product in the playoffs, then it's definitely worth it. Rolo says, I would rather my offense catch rhythm than going through a slump around this time. Everything playing out perfect for a playoff run, low-key. Facts. Yeah, so that's the one thing I want to see during this stretch of these next 2 games is get some momentum offensively. I feel like none of our drives are like, we never like string together consecutive, consistent drives, especially throughout a game, but it's like the flow is just like up and down, up. Like I just want to see like a smooth, steady performance and get some confidence, and we'll start to build from there. Let's see if we got a couple more. Caleb says, definitely subscribing. Love your content, brother. How long you been covering the Texans? I appreciate that, Caleb. And yeah, feel free to tell y'all's friends and family who like the Texans. So how I came about is I'm born and raised in Houston. I've been a lifelong Houston everything fan. And obviously football is my favorite sport, but I love the Astros, Rockets as well, who won, by the way. Congrats. But yeah, so I just started a Twitter last December. I've always been on Twitter, but I started like my own one to like kind of just get my opinions out there. I played football my whole life. I was a wide receiver. I played in college as well. So I have like a decent understanding of the game. So yeah, I've been covering for almost a year. And I guess when I say covering, I'm not like official, but I've been doing the show since midsummer. I've been, learning all this stuff. I've gotten into the Texans community and I've met a lot of cool people, a lot of new friends. And it's just a cool deal, like how many people there are like me that know a lot about the game and are willing to share their thoughts and opinions. So it's been fun for sure. And then let's see if we missed anything here, and then we'll dive into the box score. Christian says the interior of the D-line is a strength with Simmons and Sweat. Linebackers are awful in pass coverage, so have fun with that. Yeah, so, and I guess I will look at it, but run D, I would imagine, is good. So this is tough for us because our weakness is our interior O-line, so that's definitely probably the biggest key to the game. Brandon says, Packer lose that game to us on the field goal and don't block the Bears kick there, 5-5. Yeah, so that's the saying of like, don't ever get too high or too low. It's I mean, things could definitely change. And Lions game, they make 2 field goals by an inch and we lose. And then now we go from being a top 5 team to 15th. Like, it's all, I think it's just, it's tough in the moment, but it's like, we're here. We're not here. Brandon says, surprised that Diggs has fallen off the radar. I don't know. I listened to CJ Stroud's post-game presser versus the Cowboys, and he did say that he still keeps in contact with Steph, that he'll text him and call him. So he may not be around the facility, but I don't know if he's had surgery, if he's scheduled to have surgery, but knowing him and kind of keeping up with him this offseason, he seems like a very business-oriented guy. So I wouldn't imagine if he's just like 1,000% locked in on his rehab, and I wouldn't, put that as a bad thing. I think it's just the way he goes about his business. Rich says, bottom O-line, I have faith in our coaching staff from top to bottom. I don't question their play calling on both sides of the ball. Yeah, I mean, that's fair, dude. And then he says, I'm a Texans fan living in the Sooner State. Oh, damn. But I'm originally from San Antonio. Let's leave the Spurs out of this conversation. So I played football at Stephen F. Austin, and then I played at Incarnate Word in San Antonio. So I'm very familiar with San Antonio. And shout out Incarnate Word. They just won conference last Saturday by beating my other old school SFA. But yeah, so let's go ahead and dive in and start sharing some stuff real quick. We'll just go through the box score. And the other thing too is it's always good to beat the Cowboys, man. I know, I don't really talk too much, but I was kind of you got to have your fun. I mean, there was a lot of cool memes and videos to share that I was excited to share. So, but yeah, and I was at the game, so it was probably 50-50 or maybe a little bit more than that, Texans to Cowboys fans. And we took that thing over, and it was a blast. I went to Texas Live before the game, and that place is incredible. It's like this massive mega bar with 5-10 bars in one. And I wish we had something like that in Houston. It was awesome. Brandon says, I could see Danielle Hunter staying longer than his 2-year contract, maybe hanging around as long as Jerry Hughes or Khalil Mack. Yeah, I haven't even thought about that, but that makes perfect sense. He's from Katy. He's a quiet guy. He's balling. He likes this system. It's not like they're teaching him to do stuff. They said it's just go. And he's obviously thriving in it. He's having his best year ever in terms of pressures. He said he could put up crazy JOF sack totals here. I'm not sure what JOF is. Oh, Hall. Okay, yeah. No, I agree, man. Especially if the defensive line around him, he can benefit from that for sure. And then Voss says, that's what they need to replace the Astrodome with a mega bar. So that plan came out last week, and it was like a $10 billion thing. And I saw some of that, and it kind of looked like that. At first I saw, that would be dumb, just tear it down. But when I was in Texas Live, I literally thought what you said. I was like, they should just freaking turn the Astrodome into this mega bar, with bars and have it. And then that way, you're there 24/7. It's not just the games, but then now they have concerts, rodeo, whatever. And you can still have your tailgate too. But man, that place was awesome. We need something like that. And I think they're building one supposedly where home plate used to be by what used to be Minute Maid Park, RIP. Now it's Dyken Park. I can't believe that. The Dyke Box, some might call it that. Where home plate used to be the bar. It's been torn down for several years. Supposedly they're supposed to have a somewhat of a version like that there. And they need that. So those places are awesome, man. But yeah, so on the box score, we'll just go through team stats. So the box score offensively, the Cowboys are going to have better numbers because that was the game plan. We let them. It was a bend but don't break plan, and it worked. They had more first downs. Our third downs were not good on offense again, so that's part of the issue. But I don't think we really had the third and long issue. It was just not converting. So 4 of 12 is not good. Need to improve there. Cowboys are 5 of 15. They were also 0 for 4 on fourth down. That was a big part of the game as well. A couple that basically gave us points. One was the fake punt, and then one was late in the game when they went on their own end as well. And then one, that was a hilarious sequence when and I tweeted it out live. That was such a Texans thing to do. They made a 60, what was it, 63, 65, some long ass field goal. Made it. We got called for a helmet slap, which sounds like total BS. Accept it, get to a 4th and 2 and miss it. And so they got no points. That's something the Texans would do. That shit was hilarious. Brandon says, be diking them down. Yeah, I'm with it, dude. The dike box, diking them down. But yeah, total yards. We had more total yards by 3. We also had more short fields, so it's kind of one of those things. Passing 250 to 324. Rushing, that's where we had the big advantage. 141 to 64. We had that one CJ pick. They had 2 turnovers. Red zone, we were 2 for 4, so not terrible, but not great. Could be better. Box score. Stroud, 23 of 34, 257. 1 sack. Absolutely awesome, especially against Micah. Titus locked him down. Cooper was 32 of 55 for 354. He got sacked 5 times. So, these numbers, you look at it and like, oh, he diced this up. But if you go back and look at it and think about it, that was the game plan. It was drop back in covers, don't blitz, make Cooper Rush beat you. He'll get, dink and dunks, but eventually he'll make a mistake, and that's exactly what happened. Or the pressure will get home and cause a turnover. So rushing, Joe Mixon was 20 for 109, another 100-yard game. That was awesome to see. That touchdown run he had was awesome. The first one, he had 3 total touchdowns. The celebrations he had were incredible. He just brings a whole different vibe and energy to this team. We're so lucky to have him from a production standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, from like an energy standpoint, like a swagger. We didn't really have like that, I guess, dog mentality type player on offense. Diggs was that guy and Mixon, but now that Diggs is gone, it's like Mixon's like the main like spark plug for us, in my opinion. And at the game, you could tell there were a lot of scuffles, and I think on TV, and I'm sure he was in a couple of them. So, we had that attitude too. So it's nice to see that. Passing, the ball was pretty evenly distributed. That's hilarious or crazy that Nico and Tank had the exact same stat line. 4 for 54, both on 7 targets. Mixon had a big screen for 37 yards, which was nice to see, another big screen. And then Schultz had 5 for 33. That's crazy. Not a very big yard per catch. Mechie 3 for 33. So, not great, but he had a couple, clutch catches. Pretty evenly distributed. Derek Barnett, that play was crazy. How cool was it that he had the initial strip sack, ball got picked up by Tyler Guyton, their tackle. Petrie hit him, and then Barnett was able to pick it back up and score. That was an awesome play. And that broke the game open. Right there. Derek Stingley had an awesome game. We'll go to the PFF. But, yeah, Stingley's further solidifying himself, in my opinion, as an all-pro corner, top 4 in the league. It's just funny how this is a good reminder, like I'm about to talk about, like the Sauce versus Stingley deal. It's a good reminder for us fans to be patient. I know it's easier said than done, but I couldn't tell you how many times we've all heard, oh, we should have drafted Sauce. But now you look at it, it's like, oh, Stingley was by far the better choice. Sauce hasn't had an interception in, X amount of games, and his tackling's been horrendous, whereas Stingley's, getting a pick damn near every game. He could have had 3 or 4 more. He dropped 2 or 3. A couple were tough catches, but a couple he could make. Kalen Bullock had one that he dropped and made a play on the ball. But yeah, Derek Stingley is elite. His ball skills are, top notch. I'll say pause there. I don't know if I need to or not, just in case. But his football skills are top notch. But like what he brings to a defense it didn't happen in this game, but other games where we blitz quarterbacks, Derek Stingley's lockdown ability allows D'Amico as a play caller to be more aggressive. He knows that I can blitz and Stingley can take care of this guy one-on-one no matter what. And I said this on the roundtable as well. The shadowing thing, I think it's something that we saw it last year. against the Browns and Amari Cooper in the regular season, Sting did not shadow him, and Cooper torched us. And we all, were upset. And the media asked D'Amico about it. He said, "Oh, we don't do that." And then we play the Browns 3-4 weeks later in the playoffs, and Stingley shadows Cooper. So I definitely think D'Amico, as we continue to watch how he operates, he's he hides. He doesn't like to share too much information, especially about game plans. That's why he's kind of tight-lipped on his interviews, which I prefer that. But the point is, Stingley can help the defense in two ways. You can blitz, but then now, come playoff time or big game, which is probably going to be playoffs, he can now shadow that number one receiver. And we're kind of saving that, having it in our bag, so to speak, is what I believe. And then Brandon says, Petrie hits hard when he makes an OT fumble. Man, that shit was crazy. And I think Petrie I'm not surprised by the season he's having. I really saw this coming. I said that he'll have a Pro Bowl year. He could be even well on his way to being an All-Pro. Who knows? The way he's playing is insane, And the thing that I saw was, I feel like a lot of fans, when they saw it during training camp, they saw nickel corner and they thought, oh, he's just going to be covering, Tyreek Hill and so in the slot all day. But he's there for the run game and the intermediate to short passing. And he's made an outstanding impact. He allowed that touchdown to happen there. There's been several times where he's, hustled out and, maybe deceived the quarterback and baited him to throw and tipped a pass and caused an interception a handful of times. There's that Havoc stat, and he's one of the top 5, top 10 in Havoc, and you can tell when you watch the game. But yeah, Texas made, says born and raised in the H. Let's go. Me too. Rich says, I want to see Dameon Pierce get more reps in games. Yeah, I would too, but if Mixon's effective, I don't know how we do that, but it would be nice. Caleb says the fact that we got Mixon for a bag of chips is hilarious. Facts, dude. Casario was cooking this offseason for sure. Rich says the Rockets are a parental playoff team, but the Spurs are right behind them. I think he means potential, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of parallels between the Rockets and Texans, honestly. Defensive-minded head coaches and teams, young stars. They're both very exciting to watch. Let's see. Yeah. But over here, we'll go back to the PFF. So for the game, I don't really weigh into the overall, but kind of an average game for us. Wasn't our best overall graded game. And then we got over on offense, Nico Collins. Every game is our top rated receiver. It's no mistake that he's a top 5, top 3 receiver. It shows up in every aspect of the game: receiving, running, run blocking. He's just a true number 1 receiver. It's insane. So he only had 30 snaps. And the total snaps overall was 63, so he played less than 50% of the game. Stroud, as much to make out of how bad of a game he had with stats and this and that, he graded a 70 is pretty decent for PFF. So I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but I do think that, he is making more mistakes than normal, but obviously there's different circumstances, the biggest being the O-line, and then, missing, Mixon, Nico, Tank, Steph, etc. All that stuff adds up. Play calling not always being the best at times, but mainly the O-line. And he's missing throws, I think, a little bit more than last year. But I suspect that because of all of that and because of the struggles overall, that when he does mess up, it just feels that much worse. It's magnified. I feel like he was making some of these throws last year, but then we would just go back and make a play the next play and you would just forget about it. But now when you make these plays and you don't get the points, then you just sit there and harp on it. But I'm super optimistic about the rest of the year for Stroud in the offense. Mixon graded pretty well. Okay. His pass blocking wasn't great. Again, PFF, it's not, the gospel. We're kind of just seeing what we think jives. And y'all feel free to chime in with what you think. Dare graded well, but he only had 8 snaps. Tunsil graded decent, but the big thing is his pass blocking was great, so we'll take that. Howard was decent. Pass blocking was not, well, he wasn't great, but this one I don't know. He shut down Micah Parsons. I don't know what more you want. The great Amechi, I don't know if that translates. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he's a little bit higher. Schultz, he's been around this all year, and his pass blocking was terrible. That's been like that all year. We can't have that, man. Run blocking, not great either. Woods, you come in the game to run block and did not run block well. That's not good. Tank did not run block well either. I saw they had him in there on the goal line again. I don't think people saw that, but he was blocking on the goal line on a couple of those mixing touchdowns. But yeah, overall Woods not great. So this kind of reflects the performance. A handful of guys played good, and the most were mid, and then a handful bad. Hutch played, yeah. So look at this. This is crazy. All right, so Nico's back, and we assume everything happens, but he played less than 50% of the snaps. And when he did, look at his grades. He was elite. And then the guy that took his place when he came out for the other 50% was Xavier Hutchinson. He had 27 snaps, and he was the worst graded player on the offense. So if you replace these 27 snaps with Nico, that game is completely different. So that's something to keep in mind too. We had Nico back, yes, but he was only there for 50% of the snaps. He would have had a massive impact if he played a full game in that. So that's crazy. That sticks out to me. Patterson grading that low, surprising, but the most important thing is the pass block was great, run block was bad, which is kind of how it's been for him, his 2 starts. Shaq Mason, not good overall, but much, much, much better pass blocking, so that's good. Run blocking, still not great. And again, so what we're seeing is the run blocking as a whole from the O-line is not great, but Joe Mixon is like C.J. Stroud with bad pass protection. He masks it by scrambling. A lot of these runs by Mixon, except for that one long one, I'm thinking of more so these ones down towards the goal line. The blocking wasn't great. He just would make, a cut way to the sideline and score. So we need to get that run blocking better for sure. Head over to defense. Christian says, it's funny, Levis has had 2 average games since coming back from injury, and most of the fan base is getting excited again. Hopefully this game will bring them back to reality. Yeah, so he's played 2 games. I guess tell me a little bit more about how he's played, Christian. But I guess it sounds like a lot of Titans fans think he might be the guy when y'all should just tank for another quarterback. But is he still the same old turnover machine, out of control quarterback that we know? I'm sure that'll happen this game with this defense. Let me check the IG real quick. Rich says, hopefully replace Kenyon Green. Yeah, he was replaced by Juice Scruggs, and Juice is doing so-so. He's getting his feet wet. So he also says Brevin Jordan going down was tough. I agree, as a very underrated injury for sure. He says our secondary is like the Legion of Boom with Seattle and Sherman Thomas. Yeah, dude. That secondary is crazy. Crazy. Let's see if I missed anything else. Alberto says, sheesh, Mitch locked in at wide receiver 3. Facts. That is for sure. So defense, this checks out pretty much overall. Defense balled out. Grades are pretty good. Derek Barnett, what a revelation. Mid-season pickup last year off the Eagles, I believe. Played great last year for us down the stretch. Has been great for us this year. We have the depth on this defense is insane. That's just awesome by Derek Barnett. Stingley, we talked about him. Another great game. His tackling is improving too. Early in the year, his tackling wasn't great. That's improving. That's awesome to see. But that's what we know he can do. Mechie had an 80 grade in the defense. That was that fake punt. It was only one play, but I don't know if y'all saw the clip I posted too. D'Amico in the presser, I believe yesterday or today, he talked about that play. He said in the team meeting, he showed Mechie with that big hit against Florida. And it sounded like he showed that to show, hey, make a play on special teams. And because he followed it up with saying, we know they run fake punts. So that's awesome coaching to know that they were prepared for that. Daniil Hunter, he's still, to me, him and Petrie somehow, to me, are very underrated players. as good as they are, they're still underrated in my opinion. Danielle Hunter specifically, I think it kind of goes to my theory too, like with Nico and Andre Johnson, like these quiet personalities don't quite get as much love as they should. If he was if he was Micah Parsons who had a podcast and playing like this, he'd be all over the place. But he might be playing as one of the best defensive ends in the game right now. Like pressure-wise, we'll see it. He's definitely doing that. So Danielle Hunter was probably dollar for dollar, took a hometown discount to come to Houston, to play for the Texans. Best signing in free agency, dollar for dollar, I would say. Petrie, we talked about him, absolute dog. Tackling was a low grade. That's surprising, but I mean, he's just like a freaking honey badger. He's all over the place, dude. He's a nightmare for a defense. Jimmy Ward played okay. Delshon Phillips played okay. So you can see here, I talked about earlier, other linebackers playing. So he did mix in linebackers. Delshon Phillips got 9 reps. Hewitt got 9 reps. What other linebackers played? I mean, let's see. Toa played 26. He didn't grade well. His pass grade was a 33.5, so that's why I suspect he came out. His coverage wasn't great. So then Devin White got a lot of those reps. But we played a bunch of guys on defense. Look at that. We could play 28, a couple of turnovers and whatnot. But, so we have a top end where guys, played well, some average to mid play. And again, I don't know if these grades are I feel like Autry played a much better game than that. Devin White too. I feel like he played a pretty good game. Jerry Hughes has been a pretty solid player. Tim Settle has been a very underrated player in this team. He's been kicking ass. He's an awesome personality too. Okudah, that was tough. And so we gave up 10 points, 7 of which were one play on a 5-yard slant, like one of Okudah's first plays back. And I think Turpin, that was the fastest I think I saw on the big screen per Next Gen Stats. That might have been like the fastest ball carrier speed of the year or something. Hopefully Okudah can continue to get reps and get better because we need some depth there. But yeah, so Kalen Bullock didn't grade well. I don't know if that translates or not. Same with Murray. But yeah, beat the Cowboys. F them, is what it is. Sorry, Cowboys. But yeah, we can start looking at the Titans here. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Brandon says, didn't Mario have a slow game versus the Cowboys? I didn't see him pop up too much. I mean, I don't think he played bad, but I don't think he played great. So let me go back to the snaps. I mean, he may have had a snap. Let's see how many snaps he played. So it shows here he played 45 and his grades were terrible, especially on run defense, 27.9. He played almost half the snaps. So, yeah, that's maybe he's knocking the rust off. Maybe that grade isn't the true indicator either. So, but yeah, let's see this. I mean, we don't need to look at that. Let's just go to – how about we go to PFF and go to their scores? They kind of have a good preview. I got this damn jacket on. I'm getting hot, man. I'm about to take a quick break. I'll put a little thing up, and I'll just go to the restroom and be right back. We'll go through this PFF part first. NFL scores. And we got – let's go to the game right here. So the Texans right now are favored by 8, I believe, is a spread. Yep, +8, -8. Let's see what else we got to look at here. Any good stuff to look at? Injuries. Diggs is out. They got Ridley is questionable. That would be big if Ridley's questionable. Which, by the way, Ridley loves dropping touchdown passes against the Texans, so that'll be nice. McCreary, questionable. Cushenberry, IR. Awuzie, IR. So they got some injuries. And then, we have a couple things to watch. I assume Laster will be back, so that will be nice. But overall, they are the 29th ranked team. We're the 10th ranked team per PFF. Their defense, that's surprising. So statistically, their defense is good, but power rank wise, they're 21st via PFF, and we're 7th. Offense, they're 27th, we're 18th. Strength of schedule played, they've played the 8th hardest. We've played the 18th hardest, according to PFF. We're both a 60-40 pass to run team. CJ Stroud's numbers on the year, 74 grade, passer rating when clean, 91. All that good stuff. So, let me get a second to use the restroom real quick. I'm going to put up a quick little video, and then we'll get back into it. And if y'all got any questions, just let me know. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me see if I can find the good one right here.
Dominican track.
I just took my jacket off. I can use the restroom later, but so let's see. We're playing the Titans. It's always F the Titans. It's definitely a rivalry game. It's a shame. From my understanding, we can't wear the H-Town blue jerseys. I thought for sure Hannah McNair would do that because she seems to be a pretty petty person, and I love it. But we should win this game. We should take care of business. It's a game to where I hate to say it, but I see it being kind of like the last game where it's just lean on your defense to win the game with turnovers, field position, conservative offense. But that being said, hopefully we kind of show some things offensively. It would be nice to have one of these Detroit Lion games where you just, stomp out an opponent. And I don't know how motivated they are to win. They're 2-8 at this point. I don't know that teams openly tank, or players definitely don't. They're still, highly paid athletes, playing for that next contract. But there is, the sense of a team like this, if you get on them early, like a 2-score lead, they'll quit. So just like any of these other games, it's imperative to get off to a hot start. If we win the toss, get the ball, go score, stop them, go score again, and then that's game. That's the hope right there. And especially with them, if they get behind, having to pass in known passing situations, that can be definitely to our advantage. So we will buzz through the next gen stuff and see what we got here. And then Rich says on IG, these weak teams really build our confidence. That's true. I mean, people, I understand, we'll win these games and not really be like, oh, we beat a crappy team, but it's still good to have it to it. Every team in the NFL is still good, even regardless of record. And a win is a win, but you do take away a lot. The confidence is a thing. This is what we need to help us get back to where we should be, overall production wise, mostly team. And then Alberto on IG says Bobby better keep the cap off his head. Might help keep the creative juices flowing. Yeah, that's hilarious, man. The no cap, Bobby, no cap. Texas made second half performance needs to improve. I agree. It does. I agree. But yeah, looking at it here on the pro.nfl points per game, they're at 17. We're at 23.5. Point differential, they are minus 93, 28th in the league. We are plus 22, 13th in the league. Record in close games, they are 1-3. We are 5-3. Average margin of victory, they're 11 points. We're 8.9. Turnover differential, they are 30th with minus 11. We are 6 with plus 7. Penalties, we're still bad at penalties. Both teams are. They have 82, 31st. We have 81, 30th. Usually I kind of look at this stuff before, but I haven't had a chance to do it yet. Rich on IG says Green Bay, a second place team to the Detroit Lions anyway, so screw them. Excuse my language. Yeah, so just this quick glance, the team overview. Overall passing, they're number 31 in the league. So a terrible pass defense versus an elite pass defense, that's a massive advantage. And I think our rush defense is massively underrated. So we're just going to stomp them out on defense. This is crazy. And the offense will get ample opportunities to score, short fields, et cetera, et cetera. Overall rushing efficiency, they're 27th versus 11th. Yeah, so we got a massive advantage there. Holy cow, dude. I hadn't dove into this, and I'm going through it. Like, this little high view, these three little facets of the game, passing, running, and pressure rate. We have absolute mismatches across the board. They are the worst pass blocking team in the league against one of the best pass rush teams in the league. If Will Anderson Jr. comes back, Will Levis might freaking die. Holy cow. Man, this is crazy. So this is just like this should be a route. This should be 20, 30-point win. Like, I hate that I'm seeing this and being super confident, but like, this game should not be anywhere near close. Like, the Cowboys game was 34-10. This should be out of hand sooner than that. On the other side, our overall passing versus their defense, again, it doesn't project. PFF had their defense not as good as what we thought compared to like total yards and whatnot. And then now Next Gen is showing their defense is like, more middle of the pack than it is top 5. So I think that's misleading. So this is also a good game for us to, get some points up on offense. But their overall passing efficiency, ours is 17th versus 15th. So it's a push. Again, rushing, we're, rated way back. I think a lot of that's misleading with all those games without Mixon, even though the O-line hasn't blocked good. But Mixon, the past 2 games, they haven't blocked good. He's masked that. And their rush defense is pretty good. Pressure rate, this is nice to hear for us. They're not a great pass rush team. And the past 2 weeks, we've been trending upwards. So that's good. Another chance for us to, solidify that pass protection. And Christian says mismatch is a damn understatement. Yeah, I hadn't really kept up with you guys, and I haven't really dove in. I'm basically doing my research now, so it's kind of cool to like see it and be like, holy cow, like this is, Brandon 52-6. I mean, I can see it, man. Especially with Will Levis, a turnover machine. He gets behind, he starts having to get desperate. I mean, look out. So we'll go through the insights, and this is where we get all of our good nuggets. Will Levis has averaged the 3rd quickest time to throw when under pressure among qualified quarterbacks and generated the fewest EPA per dropback on those attempts. So his O-line sucks, no time to throw, and when he's in those situations, he sucks. These are all the memes happen. So hopefully we get a new meme. And it says he generated a positive EPA when pressured on only 23%. Yeah. So pressure the hell out of him. Yeah, Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter. What a duo. Opposing offenses have generated a completion percentage over expected of -11 and -19 when targeting the two. They both rank top 15 in receptions over expected allowed. Bullock has been targeted on – this is the 2 rookies. Bullock has been targeted on just 6% of his covered snaps this season, the lowest among rookies. Wow. So people, when they see Kalen Bullock back there, they don't throw his way. That's crazy. Ball hawk, man. This is what I just mentioned. This is crazy. The Titans have allowed the highest pressure rate, 43.6, and the 6th most sacks, 33 in the NFL. This is a stat padding game. We got 5 last game, which was crazy because I didn't think that was a massive advantage. But yeah, this could be like an 8-sack game. This is crazy. And we're going to get strip sacks, strip fumbles, caused interceptions. This should be a damn party, man. Like, I hate how confident I'm getting in this game right now reading this. On a positional level, the Titans are the only team in the NFL to have 4 offensive linemen ranked in the bottom 5 in terms of allowed pressure rate at their respective positions. Holy cow. So 4 of their 5 linemen are in the bottom 5. That is crazy. Matchup, the Texans defense, led by Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., has generated a pressure on 39.4% of opponents' dropbacks, the second highest rate in the NFL. So we got like the worst pass protection versus the best pass rush. Like, holy cow, dude. Against a quarterback who sucks under pressure. Hunter played a season high 64% of snaps on the right edge. That's pretty cool. So Will was out, so he played more on the right in week 10, and then he moved back to the left in week 11. So that's probably just a matchup thing. This is a good matchup for us that we're concerned about interior. Scruggs versus Simmons. Texans interior offensive linemen have allowed a total of 112 pressures this season, third most in the NFL. In week 10, the Texans moved their starting center Scruggs over to play left guard, where he has allowed 8 pressures on 76 snaps, which is a 10.5% pressure rate allowed, which is 29th among left guards. Man, so Scruggs has not been – that's crazy. So Scruggs has not been doing good at left guard. This game and the next game are also games to see, hey, hopefully like we get up big and can kind of play some other guys at guard to see how they do instead of having to do it early. But, I mean, if this continues, we need to figure this guard spot out before the Miami, KC, Baltimore. And then it says Simmons has been strong against the run, ranking 4th in run stop rate and 1st in run stuff rate. Yeah, so running up the middle is not going to work. We might just have to air it out, Bobby. I think is that all we got on here? Yeah, it's funny. Like when we went over the Cowboys game, there was like no insights. I think that was a Monday night game, but I don't know if this is just because this game just sucks. Like there's no insights. They don't care. So, yeah, I guess that'll cut it short then. You guys got any other questions, anything before I call it a show? Let's see. Alberto says, then go crazy on the Jags to finish off the Peterson era. That would be nice. Over here in IG. Appreciate you guys on IG tuning in and commenting. Caleb says, Will Levis 3-pick game, calling it now. I could definitely see at least a fumble in there too. There's going to be some funny-ass videos of Levis just doing crazy stuff. And then Rich is saying exactly what I've been saying. Like, fan base was super down at the Lions game, and I was too, but like once I slept on it, I realized that, we woulda, shoulda, coulda beat / hung in the game against the best team in the league in the Lions without 2 of our top 3 players and Will Anderson and Nico. And then he's saying, our confidence is going to be good. I agree. So this stretch here, Cowboys, Titans, Jaguars, you build crazy confidence, and then now you should take care of business against the Dolphins, who I think are ascending, but we should still win that game. So now you go into KC, Baltimore, wins are wins, but you stacking up wins against bad teams. Now you start to get that confidence. That stuff matters. I agree, Rich. And Alberto says, like most, I think we hate to underestimate opponents, but dog, we're really going to stomp on them. LMAO, confidence levels through the roof. I agree, dude. That's like the exact reaction I'm having. I'm like, I hate that I'm seeing this, but it's like, I don't know. Texans made. Our defense going to cook against Levis. Facts, bro. Facts. Alberto says, Nico, 200-yard game. That'd be nice. We need it. Alberto says, almost getting giddy of the confidence. I feel you, bro. And then Rich says, no, please be confident. He says, you have to understand we're through a week 4 game stretch that will turn from very hard once Casey and Ravens playoffs. Exactly, yeah. So, like, embrace it. Oliver says, great mixing it up. Appreciate it, brother. Christian. So basically it says Texans win and Titans lose. Great. That's good for you. If I'm a Titans fan, I want my team to lose. Brandon says, can't forget they lost Hopkins too. Yeah, that's true. That is a true statement. And the Pats beat the Titans. And then Brandon says, really want to see us get enough offense to knock the Titans out of top 3. We could do that, bro. Let's go to there's a couple more things we can do in here. Let's go to stats. Let me pull this up. Well, let's go to let's go to team stats. Let's see. Stats. We'll go to team offense season leaders. Yards per game, the Texans are 14th with 342, and the Titans are 25th with 295. Pass yards per game, we have the Texans 14th at 221, and then the Titans are 178. And we do have to remember Levis hasn't been the quarterback the whole year. Rudolph has played too, but I mean, I think they've kind of had the same level of play, honestly. Rush yards per game, the Texans are 13th. So we're basically like middle of the pack across the board on offense right now. And then the Titans, that's their strongest suit on offense, 18th, 117 yards per game. And then we saw this quarterback pressure percentage. The Titans are the worst. This is like the battle of the two terrible pass pros, but we're trending in the right direction, though. I'm confident in that. Well, let's take a quick look at defense. So we got yards per game. So the Titans are a top 2 defense in yards per game. But they're 2 and 8. So I mean, maybe that you know what part of that could be is just a lot of short fields via turnovers and special teams. So if you only have so many yards to gain, I mean, we saw what the Lions did against them. Basically need 500 yards of offense versus Titans tonight to knock them back. That could happen. And like I said, the only thing that would limit that is short fields from turnovers and, good returns and whatnot. But it's 2 good defenses. Texans defense, 297 yards per game, 4th best. Pass yards per game. Let's see where we are at. Wait, what? I thought we were higher up. Texans defense and pass yards per game. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, it's backwards. It went like highest to lowest. I was like, damn, bro, where are we at? The Titans have the best pass defense in the league. I don't know if that's going to change or has changed since they've had those injuries in the secondary. And we're the 6th best at 188. Rush yards per game. The Texans are the 9th best at 108 per game. And the Titans are 113. So it's just, their defense is, I think their defense is maybe, like surface level, like yards per game. They're probably like a top 5 defense in that regard, but like actual defense, as someone just said right here, Shahab says they've allowed a ton of TDs. Yeah, I don't know if there's points per game on here. Yeah, there's points per game right here. You factor that into, they're probably more of like a middle of the pack defense. So I feel like there's this misconception. You just see the yardage they give up and they think that there's elite defense. But so we'll go to points per game. I mean, they're 7th most points per game. And again, that could be because how bad their offense is. And that's the way I see us winning is our defense dominating their offense, getting short fields, turnovers, points off turnovers, all that good stuff. And then we've regressed back down. We were higher up in points per game, and now we're, towards the bottom with 21. So that's good to see. And then we saw pressure percentage. We should be a top 3, and and then their pressure rate isn't that high. One last thing we can look at real quick too is kind of go in some more in-depth stats right here. Not stats, but let's go to Pro Preview. Key advantages. Yes, I mean, you look at this, like look at all these Texans advantages. We went over the pressure rate, passing pressure, play action passes. They're the worst in the league at play action passes. On offense, we're the best in the league against play action passes on defense. And I believe that's because we stop the run so well. Short passing, they're worst in the league, 2nd worst, and we're top 6. And then, overall passing, advantages across the board. Flip it to our offense. Rushing inside the tackles, we're 29th, they're number 1. So we're not going to run the ball up the middle. It doesn't look like it. Intermediate passing, we're number 3 in the league. That's crazy. And their defense is number 17. So there's an advantage there. Digs, crossers, slants, all that good stuff. Deeper slant routes. deeper outs. Passing pressure, we're number 8 versus pressure, and they are 27th in defense. Versus no pressure, we're 21st versus 4th. Deep passing, 25th. Yeah, so I'm just super confident. I think we'll do really well. Brandon says, yeah, I joked they gave up special teams and defensive TD to the Lions just to make sure they – yeah, for real, dude. I mean, that's what – yeah, that could have been a case. But yeah, I guess real quick we'll go over my site. I know y'all seen it, but maybe some of y'all haven't seen it. But if you could – the one thing that I would appreciate the most, if you do appreciate, my content and want to help me, would be to subscribe to my newsletter. I'm trying to build that up. I'm writing articles, 2 or 3 a week. I try to give insight with analysis on things that I find interesting. I wanted to write one today, but I'll probably write one tomorrow, if not 2. But yeah, if you go to my website, houstonstressans.com, you can subscribe right here for free. I send at least one a week, a newsletter with my articles, videos, everything to get you caught up. Yeah, you got article section here. You got a video player that's pretty cool too. If you're just looking for content, you can just click on that videos tab, and I've made all these playlists. Looks like this thing is slow right now, but I got my playlist with all my content if you want to watch it. I got national media where I update it, so all the latest relevant videos, I got it up to date. I still need to watch this interview here with Joe Mixon on Rich Eisen show. It's got press conferences on here, all that good stuff. So it's just, my idea is to make it easier for fans to find content. And then I've been talking about it, but I have a content creator page, which my website guy will have out soon. So I have a directory where you can click on it and pull up anyone and everyone to follow. And then hopefully people can link their profile to it and then just have all their stuff right there. And then if you want to, I'd appreciate it. Next to here, this little icon is to sign in. You can create a profile. At the very least, I think it's a good resource to replace a link tree on here. You can, list all your stuff right here. And then you can just use your link to your profile, which you can change and make it your own, URL or whatever to share it. And then within that, you can do the Discord. I haven't been doing this. I need to do it, but you can comment on posts and, game day chats and all that stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. On the store too, if y'all want shirts, I'm wearing my Houston versus Everybody shirt. I'll probably be doing a giveaway soon, but got all kind of stuff, just trying to provide value for you guys. And then I think I might do a pop-up store one day too, so I'll keep y'all posted on that. But other than that, man, really appreciate you guys. It sounds like we're all in a good mood. We beat the Cowboys. Got an easy game, which should be an easy game against the Titans coming up. So Christian says middle of the field for you guys should work all day because I said before linebackers are bad. Yeah, that'll be nice. So tight ends could have a big day. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Appreciate the support and love. If you could, tell your friends about me. Follow me on all my platforms, even if you don't use them. I would much appreciate it. But other than that, I'll see you online. We blessing.